Wednesday, July the 9th. Lake level is right about 917, might be 1 to 2 inches below, and the water temperature this morning was about 82 degrees. I think that's about what it was when I did my last fishing report, but we had kind of a cold stretch. We had 3 or 4 days where you had to wear a hoodie or a jacket in the morning, and the water temperature actually cooled down. And what I found is I found a lot of fish had moved back up shallow, even through, last weekend was kind of crazy out there being the 4th and everything, but you had to get out there early before all the big boats got out. But anyways, we caught several smallmouths and largemouths up there, from Kimberling City to the dam, a lot shallower than what we've been catching. And we caught them out of a lot of the conservation brush piles, the stump fields and the rock piles. A lot of my fish weren't much deeper than probably 18 foot deep. A lot of them were on main lake and secondary points, and it seemed like you could catch them off the gravel flats if it had brush or rock piles here. If it didn't have any brush or rock piles, then it seemed like you had to have pretty good sized rock with a little bit of gravel mixed in it, and a channel swinging up on one side or the other. But for the most part, I set in about 20 to 25 feet. Most of those fish I was catching on a ½ ounce and 5/8 ounce pig sticker jig, and I was throwing watermelon candy, green pumpkin purple, another color that works good is a California 420, and I've been using a Rage baby craw. Now, what I've done is I take about ½ inch, here's a regular size baby Rage craw, I take about ½ inch or 3/4 inch off of the end of the trailer before I put it on the jig. It makes a little bit smaller profile bait. Now, in them same areas down lake, we've been catching them on a drop shot and a football jig out deeper, but it doesn't seem like there's much in between that 20 or 45 foot depth. It seems like you got to get back out there a little bit deeper. It seems like you're just wasting a lot of time fishing from that 20 foot to that 35. From that 35 to 45 foot range, you'll start picking them up again, and most of them are Kentuckys. And there again, the key seems to be the brush piles and the conservation brush piles. I know I keep saying these, talking about these things over and over in my fishing reports, but they've got 1,500 of them scattered throughout the lake, and most of them hold fish. So if you don't have them downloaded into your locators, it's something that you need to look into doing. And basically, we're just getting right up on top of these brush piles and dropping a 4-inch finesse worm down. Several different types of worms working. Ones that I've got the most confidence in is the little plum chompers, then there's a brown purple laminated, and also some that my buddy with Danger Close makes. And also a watermelon candy will work as well. Any kind of little 4-inch worm fished on 6-pound line. Now the topwater bite is kind of what surprised me this week. Normally a lot of our topwater fish are out over the deep docks, out over the deep timber, but I don't know whether it was because it cooled down this week. A lot of fish had moved up, and we had several cloudy days. Like yesterday, it rained till about 10 o'clock. If you don't have any cloud cover, the topwater bite seems like it's pretty short-lived, but the fish have been right on the bank. I mean, I've been setting about 12 to 15 foot, casting right to the edge of the bank. We've been catching them on either a popar, a yellow magic, which is like a popar, or a rico, and also a jointed redfin. And to me, I'm not that fussy about the colors of the back of the redfins, because I don't think the fish can see it, the back of the bait anyways, unless he jumps over the top of it. But anyways, I've been throwing a chrome and blue or a chrome and black, and mainly I think all they see is the underside of it. Now, if you've ever thrown these redfins, they're not the best baits to throw or to keep running true. And the guy that does a lot of the custom painting for me, Fall Creek Lures, he's got some of these redfins he's modifying a little bit. And what he's doing, he's drilling a little hole in the bottom, putting a little weight back here. What that does, it helps keep the back of the bait down, which keeps the nose up where it locks a lot better. And I think he's got some of these available over there at Sportsman Factory Outlet in Springfield. And speaking of Sportsman Factory Outlet, I think you only got about 2 more weeks on the Lose $20 rebate program. If you buy a new Lose speed spool before the end of July, you've got a $20 rebate on each reel you buy, and it doesn't matter where you buy the reels. You can buy them anywhere in the country. It's a mail-in rebate. Well, the next few days, I'm going to be up in the river doing a lot of structure fishing, and what I'm going to fish up there, I'm going to throw a Carolina rig. If they start to move in some water, then I'll throw a big crankbait, but without the water moving, I'm going to throw a big worm, and I usually throw a 9 or 10 inch worm. A couple different ways I'll rig it. This one I've got rigged up with a ½ ounce bullet weight. I didn't want to hit my rod into the fan there. I've got a ½ ounce bullet weight, tungsten weight, and I got a glass bead there. The only reason I got the glass bead there is when I'm popping the bait, working through the brush and the rocks, it'll rattle a little bit. Now the glass bead will work a lot better than a plastic bead. The color of worms I'll throw like a plum, green pumpkin, tequila sunrise. I'll just kind of mix it up. If the water's fairly clear, I'll throw a green pumpkin. And this is a Zumo Monster. This is a Mag 2. This is a tequila sunrise. And the reason I'm throwing it on a ½ ounce weight is I'm usually fishing the brush in anywhere from 20 to 25 feet deep, or the ledges. And what we mean by the ledges out there's a lot of big gravel flats where the channel comes up against the gravel flat. There'll usually be like a ledge or a drop off. And if you don't know where any brush is, what we'll do a lot of times is just work them drop offs. There's usually a lot bigger rock and some stumps, and there's still some standing timber up there that you can't see, but you can see it on your electronics. Another way I'll rig that same worms, I'll take either a 5/8 ounce or a 3/4 ounce shaky head and just crawl it along the bottom, just like you would a football jig. And a football jig will also work in the same area. If I'm going up the river, I'm going to have a couple bottom baits, whether it be a football rig, jig, shaky head with a big worm, or Texas rig, and I'm going to have a crankbait. And if they start moving some water, I start seeing some shad fish higher up in the water column, and I'll start throwing a deep diving crankbait like a 6XD Strike King. And also you want to have a topwater bait handy up there. There's been some topwater activity, but like I said, most of my topwater activity has been dead shallow, and it's been pretty short-lived, with the exception if we get some clouds or rain. So I think with the weather getting a lot hotter this week, it's going to pull more fish out into them brush piles, and it should get them out there suspended more, especially down lake in that clear water in the drop shot. And I'm catching some out over that 70, 80 foot of water. The fish are only 35, 40 foot deep. But a lot of the fish I'm catching on the drop shot, I'm having to move around a lot. 2 or 3 fish a spot seems like all I can get. I'm not finding any real big schools. But hopefully as the water gets a little warmer, the fish will group up a little bit more. There's still a lot of the fish, I think where it's been cooling down, some of the fish have been moving back up, fairly shallow. So a lot of them fish are just kind of scattered. And I think as the water gets warmer, they'll get more grouped up. Out there in some of them deeper spots, there'll be more numbers of fish. So, till next week, good luck, good fishing.